Hello and welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. We have some fantastic sessions on the agenda for you today, but before we jump in, I have a very exciting announcement to make. The Product Marketing Awards are back for 2022 and I'm delighted to announce that nominations are now open. We received a whopping 181 New Yeek nominations last year, and this year we want even more PMM pioneers to be recognised. We have 7 top-notch categories for you to get involved in, and we can't wait to shout about the incredible product marketing talent within our community. The categories are Product Marketing Leader of the Year, Product Marketing Team of the Year, Product Marketing MVP of the Year, Product Marketing Newcomer of the Year, Positioning and Messaging Maestro of the Year, Product Launch of the Year, and Top Companies to Work in Product Marketing. Nominations are now open but must close on August 19th. So what are you waiting for? Spread the word, get your nominations in and celebrate those product marketing superstars that continue to go the extra mile. We'll be sharing a link to the nomination page in the chat throughout the day, so keep a lookout for that. We're also here if you have any questions, so please feel free to reach out via Slack or email. Now, after all the excitement, I just want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, speakers, and you, our lovely audience, for joining us today at the festival. Please make the most of these sessions by asking your questions and sharing your feedback in the comment section of the video. So with that, let's get back to the sessions.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elliot Rayner and welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. Really happy that I can be one of the first presentations to kick you off today and to talk about all things product marketing. I really enjoy doing these product marketing events. Every time I do, I seem to learn something new about product marketing, which is shows you what an ever evolving field it is. And one of my favorite things about product marketing is that no one can seem to really agree on what it is and where its value lies. This is highlighted brilliantly by the book Misunderstood by the Product Marketing Alliance, where even in the opening chapter, it just simply talks about it's time to define and or interviews different people about what they believe through their experience, what they believe the value or the real purpose or the definition of product marketing is. And for my presentation today, I would like to share with you my definition, which has come to me through my experience working in product marketing as something that's been very helpful to me and my stakeholders in the past. And that's this definition, which is that product marketing is the story engine of the organization. And hopefully over the next 25 minutes, I'll be able to convince you of why I believe that to be true. Before I do that, it's always good to take a moment to discuss a little bit about how we look at product marketing and how we communicate it. When I have to communicate product marketing to my stakeholders, which is something I know all of us have to do a lot to talk about what we actually do and who we actually are in the organization. And this is something that's always very beneficial to me. And basically it summarizes product marketing as these 2 different worlds. One is this understanding of the marketplace, and through that understanding of the marketplace, helping to shape a product or to add value to it. And once we've shaped it, then communicating it back using that same great understanding of the markets of which we represent. My feeling and my experience has shown me that both of these things are made increasingly better with great storytelling skills. And this is something that's also been highlighted by the Product Marketing Alliance. This is from the State of Marketing report last year, where over 60% of product marketers agreed that storytelling was a key skill to the product marketing function. I actually think it should be a lot higher than that. And that's what I'm hoping to convince you of today. And to convince you of that, I'm going to explore 3 different statements. Those statements are: the first is that humans think in stories. And to do that, I'll be showing you a few different experimentations and a little bit more about the science of storytelling to show you why I believe that to be true. Number 2 is that stories embed value. So whenever you create a product story, it adds value to the product. And we'll be looking through some different case studies and experiences from other brands that show some evidence for that. And finally, I want to finish by showing you that I believe that storytelling is a skill. It's something that anyone can learn. There are frameworks for it, and we're going to be going over a few of those frameworks together at the end of this presentation. But before we go any further, it makes sense to tell you a little bit about my story. So this grumpy little boy is me. I'm from Newcastle, the northeast of England, and in Newcastle, football or sport is a religion. I'm not really sure why, because we're not very good at it. But what it did is when I was growing up, I really realized that I really wanted to work in sports. I loved the effect that it happened, that it brought to people, how it brought people closer together, how it created incredible moments. And so I thought I would like to work in the sports industry. Fast forward 30 years, my son is following in my footsteps, but hopefully a lot happier ones with my football team than mine. My wish came true, and I was lucky enough to work for Adidas for the first 10 years of my career, coming in as a product manager. And basically what I was doing was creating all of these different sports kits, one at the World Cup, Rugby World Cup, the Olympics. And what I realized during that time is that I wasn't really creating products. I was creating stories, or our teams were creating stories. That's the reason why something created for less than a few dollars can be sold for up to 100 euros, because people aren't buying into this cheap piece of plastic. They're buying into the story that's been embedded into it. So it was a great place to learn how to create great product stories every single year. After that, I got the chance to go into the digital world as the head of product marketing for Babbel. And this is where I saw how storytelling is so powerful within the digital world as well. You are actually 20 times more likely to be able to remember information when it's delivered to you as part of a story. So obviously for someone like Babbel who's trying to teach you a language, memorization is key. And that's why so much of Babbel's content is focused around stories. So I really got to explore how you can create great storytelling and bring it into a digital product as well. Finally, I am where I'm at today with the company Arian, which is a sports tech company. So I've got to combine my tech world and my sports world. And this is where I got to see how storytelling is so powerful within B2B. We're mainly a B2B company, and anyone who works product marketing for B2B will know how difficult it is to make something very complicated, very simple. That's what product marketing does. And I think there's no better way to do that than with effective storytelling. So getting back to those three statements, let's start the first one together by exploring why I think humans think in stories. And to do that, I'd like to bring attention to you. This is a great study that was created by Hans and Simmel back in the 1940s. And the purpose of this study was to create an animation which could be shown to an audience and then simply ask them some questions afterwards about how they felt watching it. And the animation is nothing more than a few different shapes, two triangles, a circle, moving around in certain patterns together. And the results of the experiment show that afterwards, when people watched it, they actually put a lot of emotion into it. They saw the shapes as characters with emotions and with a mission and even a purpose. And what that experiment highlighted was how something so simple that our brains love stories and can find stories even in the smallest places because our brains are hardwired for it. So this animation is part of the presentation. It's a great one to take back to your product marketing teams and to show them and to ask them the same questions to display the power that storytelling has on the human brain. I think this was summarized best by the author Yuval Noah Harari, who is the author of Sapiens and Homo Deus, who's a master of studying humans as individuals, but also together in society, who said that humans think in stories and we try to make sense of the world by telling stories. And I think that's absolutely true. Our brains are hardwired for it. We've evolved for it. And it's how we communicate with each other. So actually 62% of our communications with each other are built around narrative and story. So whenever you're having a conversation with your family, your friends, or at work, it's more often than not that you're using some kind of story structure. It's because it comes natural to us. And as product marketers, it's really important for us to know that because we're responsible for communications. And so if we can build something around a story, then obviously it's going to be a lot more effective. And to back that up, we can look deeper into some of the science of storytelling. So storytelling actually affects our brain in a number of different ways. And one of its ways is simply through chemicals. When we listen to a story, there are different points where there's a dramatic turn or getting to know a character, and our brain is strategically dropping different chemicals at different times to either make us in our fight or flight mode or to make us bond. And so if we know that, product marketers can hack the brain. So the more we understand how the brain reacts to storytelling, it's a fantastic thing for product marketers to understand. One of my favorite of these is neural coupling. You'll find there in the bottom left corner. What neural coupling basically describes is that when one person is telling the story to the other, the listener often feels and reflects the same emotions of the storyteller. And we do this all the time. If someone tells you a really embarrassing story, sometimes you'll bring your hand to your mouth because you feel that same embarrassment. Whether you're telling a scary story, you start to get scared. So we reflect each other's emotions. And that's why you see so many product marketing commercials that are based around personifying the problem. So we're actually reflecting something that we want to feel by speaking from that experience. That's why you see so many testimonials now. If we get one of our customers to give a testimonial, we can make the audience feel the same way as one of our customers. So that's a great example of how storytelling can be used by product marketers. This is another great example. It's something you've probably seen on LinkedIn before, but as I said, product marketing, one of our main responsibilities is making something extremely complicated as simple as possible. I do this all the time. We work with a biomechanical and tech company, so it's very complicated, deep science and data. And the more that product marketing can take something very complicated and make it very simple and easy to communicate, then the more better effect you're going to have with product launches, with explaining features, with sales enablement. And the best way to do that is with a story, to bring all of these complicated things together. A third final way is through speed of communication. We are bombarded with more than 100,000 digital words on average every day. So it's never been more important for product marketers to be able to communicate effectively and quick. This is a really good example of something I had to go through recently, buying a baby bed, which is something I had never had any experience before. I had no training. I had no idea what to do. And I found thousands of different products. And then in 4 simple pictures, I thought the visual storytelling here is perfect. And the tagline was the baby bed that grows with your baby. And you can see the baby growing, you can see the toys changing, and you can see the bed going with it. And within 4 images, I understand where the value of this product is and why it is different to its competitors. So it's a great example of how visual storytelling can be used for product marketers. So let's do a quick little summary of that. So I argue that the product marketing is the story engine of the organization. And I see this, that in half of our worlds in the communication wheel, we see that all the time. So once you have a product, the best way to communicate it is through storytelling, and whether it's the speed, whether it's the effectiveness, or whether it's making the complicated simple, storytelling helps at each of those stages. But that's only one half of our world. As I said, it's not about just about communication, it's about shaping the product. And that's where I believe actually storytelling is just as effective, because stories embed value. And to do that, I can show you another experiment, this time not a psychological experiment, but a sociological experiment that was done by 2 authors in New York who wanted to demonstrate the power that storytelling has on everyday products. On the screen, you can see a lot of the products on the screen from this experiment. And basically what they did is went to a thrift shop, bought 200 items for $1 or less, so basically junk. And they asked 200 authors to write very short stories about the items, and then they put them on eBay. And so each of these products was then instantly connected to a great little short story and sold. And once they were sold for over $3,000. So completely over 20 times the value for which they're bought for. And it was a great demonstration of how adding a story to a simple product can really increase its value. And I would really encourage you, you can go to significantobjects.com and read about that experiment, and you can see the effectiveness and try and guess why some stories worked more than others. And it's a great experimentation to do with a product marketing team to show the value of stories. Another great example of this is one of my favorite examples is by looking at what I believe to be one of the most unemotional objects of all time, which is batteries. You know, it's not something that you would think is a great avenue for storytelling. And hopefully when you see these 2 logos on 2 brands, some kind of character jumps into your mind. And usually when I do this live or in front of an audience, someone shouts out a pink bunny. And that's why both of these brands use a bunny as a way to communicate their product. And there's a very deep reason for that. That actually goes back thousands of years. It's actually an original Aesop's fable that most of us have heard in our childhood about the tortoise and the rabbit. And you think of what the lesson of the tortoise and the rabbit was not about being the fastest, it's about perseverance, who can last the longest. And you can imagine why being able to convince you can last the longest is something good for a battery, because that's really the only reason we buy batteries. And so by taking that story and bonding it, it's still a fantastic weapon for both of these brands to use for their product. They use this great character and very elemental storytelling so that the next time you're in a supermarket and you can choose between 100 different types of battery, you usually go for these two. And it's the reason why both of these brands still pay millions in legal fees fighting over a very silly pink bunny. So it's a very interesting experiment in storytelling to show you how valuable it is to these brands. Another great example, which I always bring up in presentations, is that of Oatly. Oatly have been one of the success stories when it comes to marketing the last couple of years with incredible growth. And one of the reasons is for their incredible storytelling. And you can see it right here on this slide with their packaging. It's absolutely flooded from side to side with storytelling. And you can imagine that when you go to buy milk and you're bombarded with 100 different alternatives, that why this would stick out on the shelf. And this is all about using storytelling to add value in product differentiation. And packaging is a really underrated way for product marketing to take advantage of that. I feel like every time I go to the supermarket, I learn about something new that they can make milk out of that I didn't know before, and it's growing industry. And so you can imagine how Oatly has this great weapon to stay relevant and to differentiate to the thousands of other alternatives on there. And if you want to look for great examples of storytelling, Oatly is a really fantastic place to start. Looking at another example, I always get asked for digital or B2B examples, it's a little bit more difficult than consumer products. This is a great example from Slack, who took something like their app release notes, which usually tell you about some of the functional changes in the app, but use it as a way to communicate with their audience. And this is something that's become a lot more popular, is using these touch points with your consumer, whether it be through notifications or in an app or in a sales enablement program, is using that as storytelling to demonstrate value in your connection with the audience. So there's a lot of examples of how this can be utilized in a digital and B2B world as well to add value through storytelling. So that brings me to my second summary. So what I'm trying to say is that the best way to shape with product marketing is through storytelling. And we've seen some great examples of how you can add value with significant objects, about how you can stand out from the crowd, like Oatly, or how you can do it with a digital product as well. So there's so many options that when you understand your audience and you become very good at product storytelling, you can add an incredible amount of value, which is one of our responsibilities as product marketers. So that's the first two statements. I've told you how you can shape with storytelling. I've told you how you communicate with storytelling. And that's why I believe storytelling, product marketing is the story engine of the organization. So the next question is, how do we do it? And this is why I want to finish on my final statement, which is that storytelling is a skill. All my career, a lot of people think that people are natural storytellers and it's a talent. And I believe it's just like anything we learn in product marketing. There are certifications, there are ways to learn, there are experiences, there are frameworks. You practice it and you become better at it. It's no different than market research or user personas. It's something that you can utilize. And I'm hopefully be able to show you that as I come to the end of my presentation. Just to highlight the value of storytelling and where it's going, this is a job that was posted on LinkedIn a couple of months ago and someone looking for a head of connected storytelling. And I believe we're going to see a lot more of this. I believe that storytelling is going to be a fundamental part of product marketing. You're going to start seeing it in job descriptions. And so the more that we can demonstrate our experience with it, the better. And this is something I started to explore with the Product Marketing Alliance through my podcast. With my podcast, Story Selling, I basically reached out to some of the best storytellers I've ever met during my career and simply asked them, what was your process? What do you think makes a good story? What have you learned? How do you test it? And through that, I was able to learn a lot. And one of the things was this. These are an example of all of the frameworks that were mentioned during that podcast from different product marketers and heads of marketing who have said these are the different things they might have used with their teams or by themselves as a way to ensure great product storytelling and product marketing storytelling. And I'd like to share with you 3 of those, which I think combine really well, that can be used by any product marketing team to increase storytelling effectiveness. The first of those is the story wheel. If you know anything about storytelling, it's probably this, is that majority of stories follow a very similar structure. This has been highlighted in a number of great books that you can explore, but basically you can summarize it into a wheel where most of your favorite movies, most of your favorite books, the character starts in an ordinary place, they go on some kind of adventure, they see a mentor, they go through an ordeal, and they return changed from beginning. And if you could think of some of your favorite movies and characters, they probably follow that similar structure. And what's great about this for product marketers is that it gives us a template to begin from. The hardest part about storytelling is that empty white page. Looking back at this, it's very intimidating. But if we have a framework and a template to start from, it suddenly becomes a lot less intimidating. And we can take our old campaigns and our old stories and pull them up and put them on this template and even see where we went wrong and dissect into different stories. So it's a great first step, is to start using the story wheel to start building stories within a team. Once you've done that, the next step is all about delivery. When you look at storytelling, there's kind of 2 parts to it. There's this understanding the storyteller and understanding the audience. And as product marketers, we should already have a very good understanding of our audience. It's almost our job, and we already have some great frameworks existing to do that. But one thing I think we fall down on is having a better understanding of ourselves, of the storyteller. And one way to do that is by using the brand archetype wheel. The brand archetype wheel was designed more in the brand world to help define who we are and what makes us different within the marketplace. This has never been more important than now, and there's so many different voices within the market, and we have to have a very good understanding of ourselves, not just to stand out, but also to speak from a place of authenticity. So the more that we understand ourselves, what makes us different, where our values is, we're going to be able to speak stories from a much more authentic place and be able to deliver a story which resonates a lot better. And the word resonate is what takes me to the 3rd, final, and most important part of the wheel, which is about embedding purpose. When you think what makes a great story, you say it's a story that resonates. And what I believe that means is that after hearing a story, you feel, think, or behave differently than before. And if you do that, then that's a successful story. And to be able to do that, the story has to come from a place of purpose. That's what makes us resonate that. And to do that, there are a few different great frameworks. Simon Sinek's Start With Why is a great example of one which is used to help to embed purpose and authenticity. But another one, which I think works really well, is actually from Japanese philosophy, the framework of Ikigai. And this is used to help embed personal purpose, but I also believe it can be done from a brand or company version as well, where simply we define our passion, our mission, our vocation and profession. And by doing that, we're taking the time to define what makes us different, where our value is, and where our authentic self is as a brand. And if we've already plotted our summary of what we want the story to be, we've defined our delivery by a better understanding of our audience and a better understanding of ourselves, and then we speak from a place of very unique and very authentic, then you're going to be able to embed purpose. So this is a great 1, 2, 3 that you can use with your product marketing team to start building great product stories. All of these I pull together and put into a Miro canvas, which you can see on the screen. So you can follow the link there and start doing this with your product marketing teams and experimenting and seeing what works. What you can also do is have an explore of the PMA Storytelling Certified course. So this is a course that I pull together with the PMA. Everything that you heard here today, whether it be from the science of storytelling, some more business cases, all of those frameworks which I took from the podcast, and of course, a demonstration of how to use the Story Engine Canvas you can find in there and become storytelling certified along with the PMA. So let's do a quick little summary. I started this presentation by saying that I believe that product marketing is the story engine of the organization. And to convince you of that, I told you that the first statement being that I believe humans think in stories. And because of that, that's the best way for us to communicate product to the market. Second statement was that stories embed value. And because of that, I believe effective storytelling is the best way to shape and add value to a product. I've really enjoyed giving the presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. I'd really encourage you to reach out to me and to hear more about your story. We also have the storytelling channel open on Slack. So please share some examples. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me afterwards as well. And thank you very much. And I hope you all enjoy the Product Marketing Festival.